You're listening to Vantage Revival. Please enjoy this encore presentation of Season 1, Episode 1, Sierra Burgess is a Loser, originally uploaded September 14th, 2021.
Today on Vantage Revival, we watch a Netflix original movie written by Lindsay Beer that was released August of 2018. The main character, Sierra, is played by Shannon Purser, who takes on a liking to a quarterback, Jamie, played by Noah Centennial. But self-conscious of her looks, she catfishes him as the high school queen bee, Veronica, played by Christine Forsyth. Sierra Burgess is a Loser, now playing on Sensitive Tuesday, Vantage Revival.
Let's talk about how this kind of all started, with how she even got his phone number and all this stuff. So Jamie wanted to be with Veronica. Veronica tricked him and put Sierra's phone number into his phone. Okay? Yes. So in his mind, he was always speaking to Veronica. So that makes the catfish a little bit easier. But there's a point in this movie that logic gets thrown out the window. And again, I was confused.
Can I guess?
Okay, yeah, guess the scene that like completely got rid of that whole interaction.
The FaceTime call.
No, not the FaceTime call. No,
for me, that's where it's like, are you kidding me? Are you that stupid?
No. So the part that ruins this whole setup is he sends a text message to Veronica. That's who he thinks that he's speaking to. And he says, I have to admit. And she gets like scared. Sierra's like, oh my God, you have to admit what? Like, oh my God, you know who I am? Like, what's happening? And he says, I know you are Veronica. And it's like, you have to admit what? Because you've been talking to who you think is Veronica this entire time. Why would you have to admit to her that you're speaking to her days later? That doesn't make any sense. He always knew that was Veronica's number. That's what he thought it was, right? So, like, I don't understand how that scene got set up. Like, how they just forget that we all know already that he thinks he's talking to Veronica 3 days later.
How else were they supposed to let Sierra find out that she's, he couldn't have just said, morning, Veronica. No, they had to make it complicated for Sierra to find out.
But I think that she already knew that she was Veronica because she was already talking to him for a few days, and she never said her name. So I think she already knew that she was Veronica. In that moment, she was just scared of getting caught that she wasn't Veronica.
Yeah.
But he had to announce, like, I know who you are. I have to admit it. Like, what? That's just stupid. Like, that's stupid.
Yeah, well, it's a teen movie.
Again, there's so many better teen movies that would deal with that situation better. Okay, I also felt that this movie stole a lot of its premise from other teen movies. And I know that it's the genre itself is borrowing from a lot of things throughout the last probably 30, 40 years. But this one I felt really touched upon 4 movies. I feel like it's 4 movies in one.
I've seen these before.
I've seen this before and it's been done better. So the 4 movies that I felt it was very similar to was She's All That, Mean Girls, Easy A, and Never Been Kissed. But I really felt it was trying to be Easy A, especially at the beginning with her and her parents. I felt the parent dynamic was very similar to the parents in Easy A. And obviously Mean Girls, the bullying. It wasn't like it was Mean Girls, because Mean Girls is a classic, I feel, and super funny. So I just really felt it didn't hit the mark of the movies it was trying to borrow stuff from.
Yeah, I get that. And I mean, like you say, it's a teen movie. So there's only so much you can do with a teen movie. But I agree. It's not the best movie out there. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not awesome at all. And it definitely could have had more humorous points to it. Veronica, at one point, I think it's in the hallway when they're talking. And she's going off about how, like, oh, you're taking anxiety pills and depression pills when you really should be taking diet pills. Sierra's always going off to her mom about, you're beautiful and I'm just this fat, ugly chick. And it's like, okay, well, you're not actually, but I'm glad that we have to point that out in the movie.
And I get it, because they had to show that she was being bullied. There's going to be those moments where, like, that scene happened. But I feel like it only happened then. There's a few times, like a locker scene where like they bullied her at the locker, that scene in the washroom, and like that was almost it.
You know what? Okay, so maybe it's not the characters bullying them. Maybe it rubs me the wrong way because that's how the movie is created for you to get that feeling of like, that's what I have to live up to. And that's when Sierra and Dan were texting Jamie. They figure out that Jamie thinks that he's texting Veronica. they're like, that's what I have to live up to. And it's like, well, no, you could just be yourself and you can maybe try and get him that way. But no. They had to make this beautiful woman. And the fact that this woman, okay, hold on. Side note here. Why did this Veronica chick just go along with this? Why was she like, yes, if you help me learn to be smart, I'll do this. I'll catfish for you. No problem.
I definitely noticed that as well, that like the motives of almost all the characters in this movie were not realistic. There's no way that couple tutoring lessons would be enough to do this whole plan of catfishing. Speaking of like their motives, the movie didn't do a good job showing me these moments. It was like, oh, I'm a good tutor. Like, okay, but like we didn't see you tutoring anyone in the entire movie until that Veronica scene. Mm-hmm. And same with her like singing scene. We see her mumble singing in her bedroom for like 10 seconds. And it's like, oh my God, you're so amazing. You should be a singer. It's like she literally just mumbled like 3 words. Like that is not the definition of a good singer.
Hey, that was just through a montage though. We don't know what they experienced.
Fair. But then the thing with that was at the end, they have the song that she creates, but you never see her do anything musically the rest of the movie before.
She's all these things. She's this great tutor and this great singer, but they never show it.
That's what I mean. And so I want to see her tutoring Timmy how to read his ABCs. You know, I don't want, oh, I'm just great at everything. Like how is she a loser in this movie? Like, I don't think they showed her as a loser. I think they showed her as a person who took advantage of a guy sending her topless photos.
But I think that's where my thought on like the creators making this movie instead of the characters. There's no movie out there that just takes a bigger woman and makes her the main character without addressing that she is a bigger woman and that she can't get a guy normally because she's not beautiful. So that's why I picked this movie, because obviously I have a lot of deep emotions with that. So
I get it. I feel for you. And as a bigger person myself, I totally understand that representation and not being the star of movies and stuff. But I don't think like she was like that fat, you know, like she wasn't like...
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, why did it have to be pointed out that she's like this fat woman who can't get any guy because she's so ugly and fat? It's like she's
pretty normal. Yeah, she's pretty normal. I didn't feel they bullied her that much in this movie. I felt most of the movie was really just her being a catfish. Like, it had nothing to do with her being bullied. On.
What I think about it is that they think that being a loser means that you are this bigger girl who doesn't care about her looks and she doesn't care about doing her makeup, and she's a tutor and she plays flute in a band, and I think that's what they're trying to depict, that as like she's a loser because she does these things, which is so not true.
You know what? I think you're right. I didn't look at it like that until you literally just said those words. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a disservice to the movie. I think that it's making people feel ashamed of what they're good at. Mm-hmm. And I don't think the ending of that movie highlights loving yourself.
No.
I think it's like, be true to who you're talking to and don't lie to them. But you're right. Those characteristics that are loserish, they're not losers anymore. Like, that's a really outdated way of thinking. And I don't think people are treated that way anymore based off what they love. I mean, bullying still happens, obviously, but I don't think you're bullied because you're a good tutor. I don't think you're bullied because you enjoy band. I think it's more vicious. People are bullied for reasons, you know, based off their looks, based off their sexuality. I think those are kind of the bigger things, and that wasn't really touched upon in this movie. She wasn't really a loser.
I think even at the end, you know, she catfished this guy, and she's rewarded with the guy.
Completely unrealistic. That would never happen. Never happen.
But they make it, and also there's this thing that he says when he goes to pick her up, and he's just like, yeah, maybe if we were just walking down the street, I wouldn't have noticed you. Okay, thanks. Like, it seems so mean that I was like, but I got to know you for who you weren't as a physical person, and you're totally my type. That makes people like me who do have self-confidence issues based on my weight. Wow, that's great to know that, you know, you can't just meet somebody by having them walk past you in a room because you're not their type. You can't be that kind of person's type. But if they didn't know what you looked like, and like, I'm not gonna go on a dating app based on The Voice, you know? This isn't The Voice. Everyone, if you go on a dating app, if you're searching for someone, they're obviously gonna judge you based on your looks first. That sucks when it looks in this movie, because it's like, you can get the hot guy if you just don't show him what you look like first. Like, what kind of message is that, you know?
I don't think movies are parental aids. I don't think they're guidelines for like how we should live our lives. I'm okay that it's not realistic in that sense. For me, it just wasn't enjoyable. The movie like wasn't funny. It wasn't really that dramatic. It wasn't that engaging. So I can look past that it's not based on reality, and it is not a great message if you have to hide yourself to get a man. But I think if it was just more interesting or funny, I wish it was funny, but outside of a couple little scenes, like when they're at the car and both girls are there.
Yeah.
And even that scene like wasn't hilarious. It was funny because it was so poorly done. But that could have been a funny scene if they'd actually had done it properly. There's one point I really want to talk about, because you mentioned how, this doesn't do a good job of showing society and like how loving yourself is important and not judging yourself for your interests and what you're good at.
Yeah.
So there's a moment in this movie that someone says something, and I was shocked to hear this, and I don't know what the point was, but Sierra's best friend is doing, I think it was a debate or something like that, and he says the words that AIDS is airborne. Mm-hmm. That's not true, and I don't know why they would write that, and I can't think of any debate about AIDS or HIV that would ever be something anyone would say. And I don't get, if it was humorous, I don't get what it was, and it wasn't factual. So why did they have to have that line in there that he was like, AIDS is airborne? What did that mean?
Exactly. They could have put any other disease in there, but they had to choose. It's like they were trying to be relatable to 2018, but that's not the way of doing it. That's just not the correct way of...
They lied.
Well, yeah, no, 100%. And it's not the correct way to try and throw in that little bit of LGBTQ that they were trying to throw in, or whatever they were doing. I honestly don't know, but...
Well, and that's the confusing part, is like that scene, I get that they were trying to show that he is strong at debating and like that's his character, but that didn't matter at all. That scene had no relevance. That line had no relevance to the plot, to that scene, or the entire story. So why was it thrown in there?
Scene, yeah, like it really meant nothing.
But I think it's damaging, as as a kid, if you're watching that, you believe in movies, you trust in what people say, and you hear someone say AIDS is airborne. What's stopping you from not telling other people that, other kids that age, and kids are watching these movies. And I think that was probably more damaging than the horrible catfishing storyline. Like that one sentence like stopped me in my tracks and was like, what the hell is going on in this movie?
Yeah. What
is the point of this? I just can't wrap my head around that line.
It's just a mix of things. Like the movie, it doesn't follow a nice linear... Well, I mean, obviously it's a movie, it's linear. But it doesn't... They just throw these random things in there that just make no sense. Even, like, I mean, I'm kind of going off of your AIDS topic for a second, but I noticed that they do that a lot in the movie, where it's these random little scenes that kind of have no relevance to the movie. And they're not damaging like the AIDS one is, but the whole movie is kind of just like, what do we put in here now? And I think that this debate one, like you say, what did it have to do with the movie at all? The debate, the comment, anything. It had nothing to do with anything in the movie. So what was the point of putting it in there? This inaccurate information that they're putting in?
Damaging.
It is. It's damaging. And it is like I'm saying, I find it personally for myself, as someone who, I went through an eating disorder. Watching all of this, yeah, it's triggering for different aspects, right? I'm triggered by that. You are triggered by that comment. It's a triggering movie. It really is.
But for the wrong reasons. It's not intentionally triggering. It's triggering on the sidelines. It just comes out of nowhere, and it's just, this isn't needed. This is not the movie that I was expecting. Okay, so this movie did not feel like a movie to me because of the style of acting. The recording, like the video of it, was just done in a way that reminded me of those YouTube videos, Facebook videos of like religious teachings. Have you seen them before?
Yes, where they, it's like the mom runs into the old friend and her son's a doctor. Those ones?
Yeah, or it's like, oh, Sally bullied Miranda because she has a zit. And then like Miranda as an adult, like, well, Miranda had a great life because she was, true to God, and like that is what this movie felt like to me. Like the acting was kind of stiff. And I don't know what it was. It just, the way you talked about how it was kind of like cut up, the scenes didn't really connect properly. That disjointedness kind of made me feel like it was like those religious videos.
You're watching a skit on...
You're watching a skit on Facebook, and you're going to spend 15 minutes seeing how Miranda finds love at the end of her life, you know? So it's not like it's inherently a bad thing, but it took me out of watching this movie because I just kept thinking about all those skits I watch when you're on the toilet, just, you know, going through Facebook, you know?
Time fillers, man.
But this movie should not have been a time filler. This movie should have offered something, and I just feel like it was kind of pointless. It was kind of pointless.
And I get that. Like, I get their message. Their message at the end of the day, like you say, is be who you are, and you can get what you want. But the thing is, it just doesn't add up, because she's not being who she is for the whole movie, but the last 5 minutes she's gonna be who she is. She never has this like come to herself moment. They never show this, oh, I'm happy with myself now. They just, at the beginning of the movie, through the movie, she goes off about how she hates herself and what she looks like, and then at the end of the movie she gets the guy, and then the movie just, the credits roll.
Yeah,
there's no I love myself moment. You know?
That's true. That is lacking from this movie.
And, I mean, there's the song. So don't get me wrong. I love that song. Mainly because my favorite flower is sunflowers. And
I will say the song was really cute. I just wish they had developed her storyline as a singer instead of just tagging that on towards the end.
Yeah, and I get that earlier in the movie they were talking about how, you know, sunflowers are the weird cousin of the rose. And, like, that, I guess, is her moment, but it's still, she's literally saying, if you liked sunflowers, you would like me, but since you like roses, you're not gonna pick me. That's the whole point. There's never, no matter what, there's never a thing where it's like, I'm Sierra and I love myself for who I am. They never have that moment. It's just her catfishing and then her getting the guy. So where is that? Where is the point? The point of the movie is to be yourself, but there's no moment of Sierra loving herself.
Completely. And I think that this movie also, on the same points, lacked people to root for. You know, I felt everyone was really like a villain. Like there was, I didn't feel the need for anyone to get what they wanted, you know, because they were all doing things out of these motives of greed, of selfishness. There was really no endearing moments for any of the characters. Probably the only one that I think had an arc that was maybe a little bit more endearing was Veronica, because she actually befriended Sierra and like stuck up for her and whatnot. Like she's probably the only character that was fully well-rounded, and that's based off the other ones being so not well-rounded. You know, I feel like in a better movie, Veronica wouldn't have been that great of a character. She's just great because everyone else is so poorly portrayed.
Well, and that's why too, right? I was gonna mention, like, the only time that you see any character development is when Veronica invites Sierra to that party, and she's even saying, like, I can't leave my friend. Veronica's the only one that grew in that movie.
Completely.
They had to make Veronica's mom a fat woman, and that bothers me, because the reason that Veronica is so careful of her looks is because of her mother.
Like, not to become her mother.
Yeah, and that sucks. Like, that really sucks that they had to do that. They could have made Veronica's mom anything and have the same attitude, and the movie would have rolled the same way. It's almost like when Sierra first sees Veronica's mom, she has to have that I get it now moment, which is horrible.
I agree. On one sense, I think fat actors should be playing parts. The fact that she's fat, I'm completely okay with her being the mom, you know, and if that was the twist, it's fine. But I think that it was such a negative, and she was such a vile woman. Like, that was unneeded. Why couldn't Veronica's mom been fat, and that was embarrassing to Veronica? Because that's a real thing. You know, there is fat shaming, but why did she have to be like angry and evil? You know, why
killing off her
husbands and stuff? Like, yeah, why couldn't she just be fat and have that storyline of Veronica coming to the conclusion that, wow, she's been judgmental towards her mother and has treated her poorly based off her own ill will towards fat people. I think that would have been a more emotional story than, oh, my mom's fat and evil. Like,
yeah.
She didn't have to be evil. She could have just been fat, and that could have been Veronica's growth there, you know? And maybe even Sierra could have interacted with the mom if she wasn't evil and been like, you know, I'm struggling, I think I'm fat. And the mom could have, like, taken her under her wing and, like, thanked her for being Veronica's friend and, like, seeing the change in Veronica, you know? But they never did anything emotional. They really didn't.
Sierra is a loser because she's fat and she plays in a band and she blah blah. Veronica's mom is fat and is evil. Like, why can't they just be, if that's what the movie's going to be about, just make them fat. Like, why does it have to be fat and, you know?
And you're right. And the fat is like the bigger issue when really that's not the issue in these stories. You know, it is their personalities. Like Sierra, again, is not a loser. Sierra is really mean to her parents. The parents are barely in this movie, but almost every scene they are, like, she is dismissive of them. She is like rolling her eyes, you know, and it's just like, you have really good parents and like they seem to love you, and yet you treat them like crap, you know? Like, this is not an issue of body. This is an issue of who you are. Yeah. You know, this is this character not being comfortable or confident enough to love themselves. But again, like you said, the ending doesn't give you that story arc of, yes, I do love myself now, because they don't touch upon any of that. It's just, I want the boy.
Well, and going to that too, at the end, he's like, I don't care about your appearance. It's your personality that I love. Well, her personality, Veronica said it herself. Her personality is the ugliest thing about her. That is so true.
And that carried through the entire movie.
Yeah.
Sierra is not a character who is likable.
No, and then that's why she gets the guy, not because she's who she is, because of her personality that is shit.
So let's talk about him falling in love with her, because I noticed some things in this movie. One, their text messages to each other, because it's a text message heavy movie, obviously. Were not that romantic.
No.
They were just like,
basic.
How's it going? Good. How are you? Good. Okay, bye. Yeah, like, here's a picture of a giraffe. Like, it's cute, but that is not the definition of romantic for anyone, I don't think.
Well, yeah, you never see them actually, there's no falling in love. There's nothing. It's just, yeah, they say good morning. But once again, I guess they do have those phone calls. Where they, you know, oh, it's been 4 hours, but we don't get to see that.
Yeah, and again,
we know that they talked for 4 hours, but what the hell did you talk about for 4 hours?
Right, and that's, again, it's a movie. I want to see these things. I don't want to be told that they happened, you know? There was one section where it showed the phone, and Sierra's talking to her friend, and she's like, yeah, we texted all night. It was so romantic. Literally, when the text was shown, it said, gotta go to bed, right after the picture message. So they didn't talk all night through text. Literally, it says, I'm going to bed. Like, and again, that's probably like an editing error, you know, or an oversight, but it just took me out of the movie again. Like, don't tell me you were texting all night and then you show the text message and it literally says going to bed, and then the picture before of the monkey or the giraffe that we saw in the earlier scene. So they didn't continue talking all night. Plot hole. Plot hole, plot hole, plot hole.
Okay, I wanna throw something in here because I think this is so stupid. Sierra has a crush on this guy, right? The word crush gets me every time I use it. So before I was seeing Rob, I kept going, I have a crush on this guy, but I'm 24 years old. I have a question for you. If you were not in a relationship and you had a crush on somebody at your age as an adult, how do you define that? Because you can't just go, I can't be 50 years old texting my friends, I think I have a crush on somebody. Like, that sounds so weird to me, and I couldn't get my mind off of it.
Really? You know what? I don't think that is an uncommon thing. I have crushes on people, you know, and it's like nothing like that you're going to pursue, but like there's just something about a person's energy or, you know, how they speak to you, and like you can kind of feel it inside of you, you know, like it just, that vibe kind of goes up your spine. And, like, I think that's what a crush feels like. It's not true love. It's not like I'm going to, you know, have sex with this person and marry this person. But it's like, I do feel something.
Like, it's the high school crush. And that's why I'm like, at what age?
I don't think it's
Do you stop calling it a crush and being like, I have feelings for somebody? Like, at what point do you... I just remember always talking to, like, my friends or whatever, and I'm like, I have a crush on this guy. I have a crush on him. My crush likes me back. I'm like, my crush? Am I 7? Like, what? My crush?
Yeah, I think there's not a name for it as you get older, and I think crush does sound juvenile.
Yes.
But I don't think you stop feeling crushes. I don't think you stop feeling people's energy when you're around them, you know, or you see a really attractive person and, like, you get shivers, you know, and, like, I think those moments will happen probably forever, but there's no title on it. So I think people experience this crush and they don't they don't say it's a crush, but she's playing what, a 17-year-old, 16-year-old? Like, I think crush was a fine term for
Crush is fine, but it sat in my head, you know? Like, what do I call it now? I'm old. What do I call it?
What do you want to call it?
Not a crush, but I can't stop.
The bone shingles.
This guy makes me horny. Let's just, you know.
See, but I think horny and crushing is different.
Yeah, less than
know?
love or whatever, but
I think crush is really, really innocent. I think it's just like that person makes you feel something that you don't feel in the regular. You know, I don't think it's horniness per se. Okay, so there's this one scene where Sierra gets drunk.
yes.
And I don't think she does anything like that bad. She just messages Jamie and is about to confess and say who she is and whatnot. That's fine. I think that's realistic. I think people do that all the time. When they're drunk, they kind of... I have been that person.
Yes.
When you're drunk, you kind of want to message people and tell them how much they mean to you.
At midnight with a whole tub of ice cream.
Yeah, so I relate to that scene. It is very realistic.
Yes.
The part that I do not understand is the morning after, she goes and sees her parents again, and they're like, hello, drunk birdie. Why are they mad? Like, I get that she's, like, underage, but I mean, she didn't do anything crazy. She didn't, like, destroy the house. She didn't, like, drink and drive. She literally just came home.
Very calmly and went to bed.
And they're like, you're grounded because, like, you were drunk. And I'm like, why?
Her parents, you can't ground her.
And I'm like, why do they hate her so much? I mean,
because she's a loser.
I mean, she's easy to hate in this movie, but you'd think her parents would be a little bit more supportive and like just been like, hey, like, you know, you don't drink next time, like you're underage or like whatever. Not, hey, drunk birdie, you're grounded. And like, what? It was very extreme for how minimal that scene was.
To be fair, legal drinking age where we live is 18, so it's not crazy. But when I was 15, 16, 17 and I was drinking at parties, I was telling my parents, like, hey, I'm going to get drunk at a party tonight. It's a little unrealistic. If you're going to put underage drinking in there, come on.
Yeah. And I get, we all have different parents.
Exactly,
and like, you know, my mom was very open to like drinks, you know, and like do it at home and we'll have like house parties kind of stuff just to be safe, you know, but we also had Safe Grad. Like, I don't know if you guys had that, but like when, you know, we graduated, we had everyone go on like buses to the middle of, it wasn't the woods, it was like a field, and like they just made like a corral for us, and like the people there were aged 15 to 19 and we were allowed to drink. We had like tickets, so I think we had like 3 tickets each.
Yeah.
And you couldn't have more than that. You know, when you're 15, like 3 drinks could be like a lot, right? Yeah. And it was fine. Like, it was supervised, parents were there and whatnot. So I don't think that this scene, again, it reflects the modern day, and like this isn't realistic. She had a couple drinks and like now they're just horribly mad at the drunk birdie. The scene, again, this wasn't a realistic movie, and it wanted to be, I think it really wanted to show people the losers, the bullies, the success, the loving parents, but none of that was reflective of modern day society. It was very much 100%. Taken from movies from 20 years ago and like, oh, that's good enough.
The only thing that I take out of that movie is negative things. I'm coming full circle here now, is that I am a bigger girl.
Okay, I love you. I love you so much, and you know this. I get that overweight may be a category you fall under. I would never say you're a bigger girl. Like, you are a healthy you are a healthy person. You're not obese. You're not morbidly obese. Like, you are.
But I am not the societal standard of beauty when it comes to my body.
Okay, that's fair, I guess.
Being not a standard of beauty in society today, it triggers me. And so you know that I have problems with my boyfriend being much skinnier than me. So I picture myself in that scenario. I picture myself being the Sierra and Jamie. Rob being Jamie. Right. And it's like it's almost, it's embarrassing. Like, is that really?
But have you ever thought maybe, and like this is coming from a guy's standpoint as well, that, you know, we have insecurities as well. And maybe your boyfriend feels he's too skinny and not like the muscle man that people are made out to be for men, you know? And like when he sees you having these problems or the insecurities of who you are, maybe he questions himself. Like, maybe I'm not good enough either, you know? And like, your opinions of yourself can definitely transfer to someone else about themselves. Like, whenever I'm around people, and because I'm technically morbidly obese, and I'm around people who are not in that category, and they're like, oh my God, I'm so fat. And it's like, wow, you must think that I'm a whale. Like, I hope that your thoughts of yourself aren't translating to other people, because you are someone who is such blessing to be around, and that I love being around you. So I hope that you're not being hard on yourself and imposing your own feelings on other people. Are you subconsciously trying to make your boyfriend go, yeah, you are fat? Like would that be a moment where you're like, okay, I've got confirmation, I'm fat, and I knew it all along? Like, are you trying to project that? And I'm not saying you want that, but by constantly talking about it, are you subconsciously hoping that it'll be brought up?
No, but I know why it bothers me so much. And that's because I have had boyfriends in the past, you know them, that have literally looked at me. And what bothers me the most is it was right after recovering from my eating disorder. So I had gained 50 pounds. And so obviously I'm not used to being that weight. My boyfriend at the time had never seen me at that weight. Don't get me wrong, he was a chronic cheater. But one thing he did say was, you're too fat now and I don't want to have sex with you. And that eats me alive to this day. And it's a huge insecurity that I do have. I am now at the highest weight I've ever been. And I hope that I don't project. I hope that I don't make you feel bad about yourself or my boyfriend feel bad about himself. It is something where it's like, one of my exes literally stopped sleeping with me because I was, I think, like 130 pounds or 140 pounds at the time. It's like, I'm not 140 pounds anymore. I'm way bigger than that. So how do people see me now, you know?
Yeah, and I get what you're saying, how that could be, you know, traumatizing, and having that sentence, you know, recycle in your head. But knowing this said person, that was potentially just a reason to not have to do things with you. It doesn't mean it was true. It was just like, what's the meanest thing I can say to get her off my back? Yeah. And because that person was such an asshole, I don't think that you should keep reliving that moment. And you have a boyfriend now who loves you for who you are, no matter if you're 20 pounds lighter or 20 pounds heavier. I hope that you will find a way to just stop thinking about said person and that memory, because that doesn't define you. It defines that moment and how you reacted to it. And it's sad that after all these years, you're still reacting to it. I hope today, as of right now, you can just stop thinking about that, because it's no longer relevant. Yeah. You know, and like, many things in your life have become irrelevant and you have thrown them away and your life has improved.
100%.
Right? So why can't this memory be one of them? Why do you have to hold on to this memory? It's not who you are today.
It's toxic. You know, and that's the thing, you know, that I've gotten rid of toxic people recently, but the one toxic person I can't get rid of is my own thoughts. The only toxic thing I can't get rid of is my own thoughts. And it's I'm trying so hard to forget everything that happened to me, but
you can. I
can 100%. And that's why I just think that, like, making teen movies about girls who have to catfish to get the hot guy for people, because I was a teenager when that line was said to me, and I was a teenager when I was going through hard times with my body. And now we're making a teen movie for impressionable kids and teenagers where it's like, you can't be yourself. That's where I am with this movie, where it's like, that Sunflower song, I think it still does have good meaning. Completely. I can still be loved, but I just need the right guy to love a sunflower instead of a rose. And it does have great meaning. A little director note here is that at the end of the movie, actually, when you see Sierra and Veronica hugging, Veronica's wearing a little sunflower ring. And I just thought that was so cute because she had listened to the song. She's the one who gave it to Jamie. I thought it was really cute.
So I have about 3 more things I want to touch upon, and they're kind of lighthearted. They're not going to be that deep. What was that running scene? Like, jumping over hurdles? I'm assuming it was done to be funny. Yeah. But it really wasn't. It was just a really lame scene. Obviously, she's not going to be a marathon runner. Like, that's, why even bother? Like, the whole scene, and like her falling over them and like trying to jump over the hurdles and
them vomiting at the end.
Yeah, it was just like, again, where I felt like this scene's not needed. Like, why couldn't you have her in band marching or something, and like isn't feeling good that day, but still pushes through to like do the performance and then throws up. You know what I mean? Like, there could have been like, connected to who she was instead of making her a runner all of a sudden.
That's once again, I think, where they take this loser title and they use it in the wrong way. They're telling her to get into Stanford or whatever. She has to be different and she has to have something eccentric on her resume. Why couldn't being an amazing flute player be eccentric on her resume to get into Stanford? Why does she have to be an athlete? Like, it just, nope, she's a loser for playing flute, so that's not going to look good on her resume. That's just, it
was stupid.
Yeah,
it was just stupid.
It's bad.
The next thing I want to talk about is the car scene when Veronica is on the date with Jamie.
Yes.
And Sierra is there because she needed to be there.
She has no trust, I guess. I don't know.
It was very odd. So in this scene, Sierra is like spying on them. Veronica knows that she's there. And Sierra is literally like below a car, like just listening to this conversation. And she's also telling Veronica like what to say. And their conversations weren't that deep that I'm sure Veronica could have said literally anything.
Yeah.
And it would have been fine. But like they made it seem like she had to be there. And then she comes out from below the car and she kisses Jamie because they place her hand over his face as if he wouldn't be able to tell that there was a chubby hand on his eyes. And then they kiss. And then he gets freaked out by this, obviously. Like, oh my God, like, let go of my face. And she then ducks behind Veronica. And again, if we're talking about weight here, Veronica is quite thin.
Skinny,
yeah. And Sierra is plus size. She just vanishes. Like, he doesn't see her behind Veronica. Like, somehow she has like an invisibility cloak or something. There's no way, unless somebody was literally blind, that they would not see her kneeling behind this skinny girl. The whole scene, again, I don't think it was meant to be funny, but it was funny for all the wrong reasons because it was so unrealistic.
When Sierra first gets there, first of all, why is Sierra stalking? Because that's her boyfriend, D. That's her boyfriend that he doesn't know that they're dating. But so, she can't be there alone because then that's cheating on the boyfriend that he doesn't know that I'm the girlfriend. Whatever.
What a mess.
But when she rolls under the car, the best is she hears him, I'm gonna grab you a sweater. And she rolls under the car, but very clearly, he's almost at the door. He's almost reaching for the door. Sierra's still rolling under the car at that point. Like, you're not fooling anybody. That could have been a little better done, but
completely. And like, let's be honest too, rolling under cars is not easy for anyone. Like, you're on asphalt, like there's rocks, like it's not a smooth move at all. Like your clothing's gonna stuck to stuff, you're gonna hear things sliding.
There's
like
rocks on the ground that you're gonna it's not pleasant.
It's not comfy. So yeah, that scene was, as funny as it was garbage. I hated every second of it, but I loved every second of it. So I want to talk about some positive things, actually, that I did enjoy.
You have positives.
I know. Hey, this movie did not get my low rating. Like, did not get the lowest rating. So there are positives in this one. The big positive for me is I love that Jamie had a deaf brother. Mm-hmm. And it seemed like they were close. Like, they were probably the two characters I felt that, like, they were brothers. They felt real, you know? And, they were signing to each other, and just like that, I loved it. I really, really enjoyed that. The one thing that I hated when Sierra first meets Jamie, like in person after catfishing, she pretends to be deaf as well and can't speak. And I felt that was kind of too convenient. Like, I mean, that's a writing choice, obviously, to make that scene happen. But I felt like, I don't think anyone would really, in that situation, if they were there, be like, I'm going to pretend I'm a mute and I can't speak and I can't hear. Like, that's not realistic, Yeah. It should have just been awkward. Hi, I'm Sierra. And run away. Like, that would have been way more realistic than, what? I have to sign? Because I don't know what I'm saying. So I feel like that ruined it for me. I get why they did it, because there was that humor of, like, the brother knowing that she didn't actually sign very well. Yeah. But it wasn't enough. Like, that whole part should have just been gone. I think they should just have the brother be someone that he really cared about. And I wish they had included him somehow dramatically into the story too. I don't know. Maybe he was being bullied. He helped him or something. Like, there was opportunities for the movie to be better and to show support for each other that never happened.
Yeah, so, it's just one big
catfishing story.
Yeah, it's just
one poorly catfishing story.
Call it MTV at this point, Like, it just.
The other thing I really liked too was, around Sierra's room, she had lots of like broken art projects. I don't know. I just love things that are broken. I don't like breaking things like that. I hate that. But I love when people create something for something that has been broken. And I think that could have been a really cool launching point as well for the story, to show broken people and how she fixes them. They didn't do that, obviously, but like looking around her place, there was like, I think it was a unicorn or something, and it was
I remember that.
It was broken, and she just like painted it or something, and it still looked really cool. Yeah, I wish that their aesthetic could have somehow highlighted the themes of the movie.
I couldn't even think of an actual positive from the movie that I...
Okay, so hold on. So you say that, but we do rank our movies after we watch them, and you still gave Sierra a pretty high score. I find it funny that you didn't like the movie, but your score is quite high.
The thing is, I like the movie.
Okay.
I've seen the movie 15 times.
15 times?
Easily. I watch it a lot.
Well, can I just ask why?
Because it's Noah's intention.
I knew it. I knew that was the reason. I'm like, because it can't be storyline. It can't be.
I just like looking at him, and I will watch anything he's in multiple times. I just want a movie where the main character comes on screen and she doesn't look like a Hollywood actress. She looks like a normal, average woman, and they don't address that. They just go, I'm in love with that girl, and they don't address the fact that she's got a little chub on her or she's bigger. I wish that they had that, which is not going to happen because that's just not Hollywood. That's not how it is, and that's fine.
Because it won't make money.
It won't.
At least right now it won't.
But I wish that it would go that way. I'm so glad. Even you look, over the last however many years, there isn't a lot of movies with bigger actresses in it. There's your Hairspray but
This Is Us. There's things. Yeah.
There's things, but in the last 5-10 years, definitely more with bigger actresses have come out. Mm-hmm. But they're all the same. They're all, I'm a big woman, I need to love myself. Yada yada. Which I'm so glad that it's grown to where
they can at least
women are bigger in their actresses. They're in movies now. That's great. But I just wish, I hope it evolves one day, that we can all just be actresses. We don't have to be big actresses. And I think
have a negative thing attached to us.
And you know what I think about it, Melissa McCarthy I think is maybe one exception where they don't always touch on her weight.
I can't stand Melissa McCarthy as an actress.
I love Melissa McCarthy. That is where I'm gonna force you to watch so many Melissa McCarthy movies. I love her.
Oh, I regret doing this podcast.
I love her. She's amazing. And I just think, yes, obviously it's something that's mentioned in her movies, but for the most part, she typically she's the cop. She's the identity thief. Like, it's not like she's playing the love interest, so it doesn't really get brought up.
Okay, so I haven't seen too many of her movies, but I still feel like I know enough to say this comment. Yes, you're right. I don't think they address that, like, you're fat and you should feel bad about it, but I think they still have those scenes where, like, she's rolling over a car and it takes a little bit more effort,
100%,
like it's still using fat as humor. Mm-hmm. She's not just an awesome cop, she's still a fat cop that's funny.
But I think where that groups in too is like a Jonah Hill. Like Jonah Hill, Seth Rogen, when they were, obviously they've slimmed down for some of their movies, but they were bigger guys in some movies. Superbad, where it's like, it's the same thing. Jonah Hill can't get the pretty girl, Emma Stone, because he's fat, which is whatever. But then he evolves into these other movies where it's like he's the bigger cop who, takes him a little bit longer. He's uncool, whatever. I think Melissa McCarthy is kind of on that level where she doesn't play love interest. She doesn't play that. She plays the fat cop or the whatever, right? And I love Melissa McCarthy. I think she's hilarious. I can't believe you don't like her.
All I have to say is she better not ruin Ursula in The Little Mermaid. That's all I have to say.
She won't, because she's Melissa McCarthy. So.
I'm not a betting man, but if I put my money down on this one, we'll see. So there's one last thing I want to talk about before we get to our scores.
Yes.
When the end of the movie kind of comes to its peak,
yep,
Sierra did something that I feel was a little bit out of character and really vindictive. When she found out that Veronica kissed Jamie, and it was an unfortunate situation. It was not an intentional kiss, but it happened. It happens in every teen movie where like the kiss is seen from a wrong perspective. She then decides to, take over, I think it was her Instagram page, and posts a picture of of Veronica kissing her boyfriend at that time and then being dumped. Mm-hmm. I don't think that picture was that incriminating. So like the fact that like it got posted everywhere and I was like, oh my God, he
dumped
broke up with her.
DM.
Like, oh my God. Like it was kind of pathetic. But the bigger thing is Sierra went to that effort to hurt this girl over someone that she wasn't even with Jamie. Like, if Jamie fell in love with Veronica because that's who he thought this entire time, that falls on you, Sierra, because you're a catfish. So why are you attacking Veronica? Why is she now the villain? Because they kissed, and how dare she when you don't have a relationship with Jamie? So why would you go out of your way to destroy her life? And that's what she tried to do. And and that's kind of where I said, like, you know, Sierra is not a likable character. She is a villain in this story. And this is the peak of it. And again, I think for a movie that wants to show, you know, be yourself and true love will find you, that scene made me, again, not want her to find true love. I want her to fix her attitude, fix who she is, and they don't address that. And then, yeah, I think this song is kind of her apology.
And that's why, like, she doesn't even apologize to her. She apologizes to Jamie.
That's true.
But she doesn't apologize. That's the thing is, Veronica has done nothing but
support her during all
you
of this.
Doing this, taking pictures for you to send to Jamie, going on dates with the guy, and then he thought he was dating Veronica, so he kissed her, and you're getting mad about it. What? I don't like Sierra at all, and
not because she's a loser.
No, 100% my favorite character. I guess if that is a positive I have for the movie, I do love Veronica's character because there's substance to her character. She's not just some stagnant character that doesn't do anything the whole movie.
Like the best friend. Dan. Like, he didn't do anything other than talk about AIDS and then be like, Sierra, how could you post that picture? We're no longer friends.
Yeah. Like, and then he's just kind of there and they're like, you want to be friends again? He's like, yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to go to prom? Hell no. Like, that was his whole role in the movie.
And speaking of prom, they didn't even show the prom. I get the budget and like having a prom and the extras money. But like just the outside parking lot, outside the school or whatever it was, like, lame. This is a teen movie. Every teen movie that deals with prom time has a prom scene.
She should have gone to the prom and he should have walked in all stallion-like and been like, Sierra, I really love you because I love who you are as a person on the inside. That's how it should have been. But no. They pulled up to prom together and then he just walks away. She hugs Veronica. Roll credits.
The end. The end.
Oy.
Okay, so every movie that we review gets a scoring system between 1 and 3 points. 1 being the worst and 3 being the highest. So our categories, though, for traditional movies is the edge of seat rating. Did it keep us engaged? The acting of the movie. Did we enjoy it? The climax/ending. Was it fulfilling? The script. Basically the writing. Does the story make sense? It has nothing to do with the acting, simply the story. And would I watch this movie again? For Sierra Burgess is a Loser, what score did you give the movie, Marissa?
I gave it an 11 out of 15.
Okay, and I gave it a 7 out of 15. Are you still happy with your score after discussing everything today?
There's a few things I would change.
So the edge of your seat rating, did it keep you engaged? What number did you give it?
I gave it a 2.
You know what? I gave it a 2 as well. Mm-hmm. Even though I said that like I wasn't necessarily interested in the movie as I was watching it, I did want to see how it would end because I wanted it to end a different way than it did.
Yeah.
So I guess in that sense, it kept me engaged.
Acting in this movie, I give it a 2.5. And I base that off of other teen movies, not off of, big Hollywood productions. Off of a teen Netflix original, 2.5.
I gave the acting a 2 as well. For me, again, I felt like, Veronica was a decent character and her acting was fine. Even Jamie, I felt was believable in his acting. Sierra, I like this movie is kind of a launch pad for her after doing Stranger Things, like justice for Barb, right? I'm glad that she got an opportunity to lead a movie. And I think she could be an actress that does other things. Yeah. This is not the best, in my opinion, though. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to see where she goes next. Yeah. Climax ending, I gave that a 1. Mm-hmm. And again, because I felt it was very unrealistic and not the ending that I was looking for. So I couldn't rank it higher. So don't worry, because I only gave it a 1.5. What merits the 0.5? Because it's my fucking movie choice, and I watch it a lot, so I have to give it more than a 1.
But the thing is, the ending sucks. Can you tell me where there's a climax in this movie? Because I can't tell you.
I would say the climax is the song.
That's at the fucking end of the movie.
Yeah, because that is because you know, you might say that the Veronica Instagram fiasco is the climax, but I think
there's no solution to that. There's no coming down from that.
But the song, I feel, kind of like puts a nice little bow on everything,
Yeah.
and there's still parts after the song. So I feel like if they had even ended at the song, that might even just been a good enough ending.
Yeah.
Instead of doing the whole prom and
A useless prom scene.
yeah, completely. Next we have script. So again, that one got a low rating for me, 1, mostly because of like the AIDS comment and the text messages that didn't line up with what they were talking about, the constant reference to Frodo from Lord of the Rings that was irrelevant to this movie. So yeah, it was just not a great script for me.
For me, I gave it a 2, but that is the one score that I would have changed after this talk. Like, that is the one thing that I would probably put down to a 1.
Fair. And last, probably the most important category, would I watch this movie again? And I'm pretty sure I can guess what your number was.
Mine was, well, we go 1 is no, 2 is maybe, and 3 is yes. So I gave it a 3 because I will watch it again.
Duh. That one got a solid 1 from me. I will never, ever watch this movie again. I mean, I'm thankful that we watched it because it was something different.
Yes.
But just the problems within the film, I feel like it would make me more annoyed with the second viewing. So in grand score, Sierra Burgess is a loser, got 18 points out of a possible 30. So right now it is taking the lead on our movies that we love. So
I'm sure not for long. Thanks for listening to Vantage Revival.